Okay, so now we've torn a page. Often happens when books are tossed around in backpacks or spend lots of time with dogs. And so all you really need to do is line it back up as best you can.
See the down.
You want the down? Okay. He's taking pictures for the BCLA browser. Thank you. This is my lovely husband, Jordan. He's my assistant today.
Lovely assistant.
Lovely assistant. Okay, so you just tear off a piece of tape, about usually just a little bit longer than the rip itself. There we go. Toss it over top of the rip. Yeah, see, this stuff isn't very transparent at all. And burnish well. Yeah, because see, look at how untransparent that is. That's very opaque. I don't like the Filmoplast P, and it's not getting any more transparent with burnishing. That's unfortunate. Okay, and then you don't ever want to fold the tape over the top because it will create a catch that other items will catch along it. Jackets, fuzzy sweaters, anything like that will catch. Thank you. So you just cut it off flush with the top. You can do it with scissors, you can do it with a sharp knife in your cutting mat. Cut it off as close as you can. And there we go, we've repaired a page. If you feel that the damage is particularly bad, that's right. So this one repaired pretty much perfectly. You can't even see it on this side. You can't even tell that there was ever a rip. But on this side, the tape is not very transparent at all. And I've now completely removed this part of the point. Oopsies. Yeah, that's okay. Again, it's just the catalog, so it's okay. It's an old book. It's my own book, so it's okay. I don't mind. So yeah, if there's a hole where you can feel the tackiness of the tape through, just cut another little piece and pop it over top, burnish it. You want to, generally speaking, you want to place the tape on the side where it will be the least intrusive. If there's a picture on one side and text on the other, I would put it over the text because it will still be easier to see the text, whereas you might lose some of the detail in the picture. If it's a map that you're trying to repair, if there's nothing on the verso, the underside of the map, then tape that side. If there is something, try and, if there's one side where, say, the tear is out in the middle of nowhere and then on the other side is right next to the town, you want to repair on the side where it's going to be the least intrusive, so it will be on the side where it's out in the middle of a cornfield or something. Loose pages, I'll do this one. This one's going to be a little bit more interesting because the hinges on this one are toast as well. So this is going to glue right through. This is a good example of when a simple repair can be very difficult. With this one, with this book, we've got a loose page. Okay, looking at it, first off, okay, you take the loose page, you glue it back in, and that's it. But when you look a little closer, the hinge on this one is, the paper is completely gone, it's down to the super. So this signature is loose, and gluing this, if you use too much glue, any amount of glue is pretty much guaranteed it's going to come through this hole behind the signature, and it will leak through and glue these pages shut. If you use way too much glue, it is going to leak down through the back of the super and glue the spine to the back of the signatures. So in that case, what you need to do is fold a piece of wax paper and thread the wax paper all the way down the spine so that it will stop the glue. If the glue does get in there, it will stop it from contacting both the back of the signatures and the back of the spine at the same time. Elsewise for this one, it would be, if the signature wasn't this bad, or if the super wasn't showing and it was just the signature, you could just put wax paper along this side, flip it over, put wax paper on either side of the page you've got it edge in, and then just glue it. But because that one is so bad, that's going to be 2 or 3 repairs just to get that page in. So we'll go back to the page that I just accidentally ripped out. And we'll cheat. This one, the spine is still in moderately decent shape. It's not loose or falling apart or anything, just the edges are a little frayed. So the glue's got not very many places to go. So what we're going to do is a piece of wax paper. If you're not going to be using a lot of glue, you can just put a dot of it on wax paper, and then that will avoid the need for bringing out an entire little container of it. You want some good small brushes for gluing because it can be fairly intricate work. Okay. There's quite a few different ways to glue back in. You can use a brush. You can use a thin stick, such as a kebab stick like this one, or a knitting needle, or a toothpick, and that will greatly control the amount of glue that you're putting on, because you don't want to put too much, or else it's going to squish out along the sides. This will be interesting. There we go.
What kind of glue is that?
This is, good question. This is bind art adhesive. It is, I do believe it is pH neutral. It is flexible, so it won't get hard and unmalleable like normal white glue would. So it is designed specifically for the repair of book bindings, loose or torn pages, and for the binding of periodicals, which I've never used it for. You can order it from Broad Art. Again, order in the summer, because it will freeze. Okay, so you want a piece of wax paper for either side of the pages that you were tipping in. If there was a hole down the center, which there's a few but not many, not enough for the glue to get through, you'd want to put a piece of wax paper down the middle as well to keep the glue from seeping through. And then it's just, you toss in a little bit of glue. You want to just glue right along the edge where you want the pages to meet. You don't want too much glue. This stuff's pretty thin, so it spreads really well. Just enough to keep the pages in, and not glue the entire book shut, which I have seen happen. Oh, and see this one, the top of the page is coming up a bit, so we're going to stick a piece of, there we go. Now any glue that does seep through won't go very far. Awesome. With this being a hinge, because these are the last pages in the book, you could also technically use hinge tape. They won't get as close in as they would with glue. Sometimes if you find that the edge is really ratty, you will want to trim it so that it will fit in better. That will also remove any of the older glue. Because most pages, when you try and glue them back in, they will stick out just a little bit from the rest of the text block. And which, again, gives the opportunity for them to catch, and they're more likely to sustain more damage if they are sticking out. So there we go. You line it up as best you can, toss the wax paper in there as well as you can, and you'll want to weight it overnight. That's tipping in a page, or 2 pages in this case. And you'll always want to rinse your brushes right away, because once the glue dries, your brushes are toast. So I always keep water handy.
Just a quick question.
Of course.
Is there ever a circumstance where tape would actually be better for that sort of thing? Or like if it's a really heavy use item?
For just tipping in a page, I like to stick with glue. If it is closer to the edges of the book, I will use the hinge tape as well once it has been glued. With a repair like this, with these ones, because the hinges are toast, like it's completely toast on this side as well as the other, I would probably, this one I might get away with just doing the 2-way tape, but this back one is probably going to need the super, the super is going to need to be cut more than likely, so I would use the 4-way tape along to rebuild the hinge itself, and then I would more than likely use the 2-way tape to do probably a page or 2 on either side, and just provide the extra reinforcement. In this case, even though I'm going to be gluing this other page back in, because this signature itself is so loose, I would glue it as best as I can, and then if I still felt that it was really loose, I would also probably put the tape on it. This item itself, I know, has been repaired at least once before, and we have a second copy of this item that has been repaired at least twice. So this is a very heavy use item, and knowing that, I would more than likely put some more tape than I would with a paperback out of my own collection, because it is going to get the use. Nursing textbooks as well, they would be a good candidate for the extra taping, because their text blocks, which is the big chunk of paper in the middle, tend to be so heavy, and their spines sometimes cannot hold up to the repeated use because they're very heavy circulating items, that they will pull the hinge apart, and they pull it away from the board, kind of like that, and it completely destroys them. So when repairing nursing textbooks, I always use quite a bit of tape, because they just aren't built to stand up to the abuse that they have to withstand, especially with nursing students. Who are all very lovely people.